At least it's a Friday.
That's true. Although these days don't have a meaning to me anymore,
Yeah.
other than my certain, speaking of which, I should probably go look at this, my job related requirements on certain days. But
Hmm.
I don't know, most days are just days,
Yeah.
you know? Oh, God damn. Sorry. I shouldn't look at the news. What are we doing live?
Jesus, did a meteor hit Pennsylvania?
I know. I don't know what's happening.
Well,
Boy. How you doing?
it's Friday. And it's supposed to be. I think I can thank you for this since you left
Yeah.
town. The weather's
Yeah.
been amazing.
Right. No, we drove to the airport in sun. Like, this is the first time we've seen sun in, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's been a long
Yeah,
time.
it's going to be 65 in February.
Yeah.
Second day in a row. I don't really
Yeah.
know
The
what.
world's gone crazy.
You know, I don't know who's upstairs.
I actually heard that.
Yeah, my
You often talk about sounds in your house, and I never really hear them. But
yeah,
I heard that one.
that
Yeah.
that one I don't. So my daughter doesn't have school today because why not? It's a Friday in February. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yep.
And
Phase of the
so
moon, something, something.
they left the house and then they came back because my wife took her somewhere, and I don't. They know like I do this every day at 9 o'clock, and yet something just smashed into the ground. Anyways,
Yeah, she dropped something. Kids are kids.
yeah, kids are great, aren't they? Are they?
All I have to deal with now is pets, and they're just as bad. They get cranky as they get older. They walk around the house and squawk. It's
Hmm.
good stuff.
Well, Mozilla is getting a new CEO, which will be.
Yeah.
I, I don't know
I
what
don't
to
quite
make of this.
understand the history there. Mitchell Baker has been the CEO of Mozilla twice, if I'm understanding it. Um, I've started writing an article about web browsers are finally starting to change,
Hmm.
and it occurred to me, I haven't written this part yet, and maybe I don't know how I'll handle this, but this was an opportunity for Firefox that they didn't take. They have a limited set of resources compared to other, like Apple, Google,
Hmm.
Microsoft, right? They can't throw infinite money at this thing. And I think what they should have done is just given up on the rendering engine, which is stupid. They're always going to be behind,
Hmm.
and really gone for revolutionizing the user interface. And there are these small players doing this now, like Arc, right, is the most dramatic example. But even Opera, has it's a little more subtle because you look at it and it's like, okay, it's a web browser. But this is given their pedigree and their history, this was a missed opportunity for
Hmm.
Mozilla, and I feel bad about that.
Yeah, they could have. They really could have just eaten Brave's lunch effectively, right? Just
Yeah.
take the engine, be like, we're going to be the privacy browser. We're not going to have to worry about investing in the
So
engine. I mean,
yeah,
that
this
battle's over.
I sort of tiptoe around that topic in this article already, but I was sort of describing. I'm trying to. The premise of this is that web browsers are not really any different than they were in 1996, right? I mean, they're
Hmm.
if you could time travel and forward in time from then to now and look at a web browser, you go, yep, I know what this is. And they all have tabs, they all have sidebars, they all do the same thing. In writing through I didn't write it this way, but I've been thinking about this. I use Brave. I love Brave. I advocate for Brave. Brave is what Firefox should be, right?
Hmm.
But you know what? There's another thing coming down the pike that might replace Brave, and that's DuckDuckGo, right? And those guys are well known.
Yeah.
They have a good reputation. They've been advertising on TV. That I don't know in your area, but they're on billboards in my area. They're well known enough that my brother-in-law, who's not technical or into personal tech like we are, uses this product right on
Hmm.
his phone, right? And if they can ever get their act together, by which I mean support extensions, pinning tab, basic browser features, basically, um, I I mean they have the chance to eat Brave's lunch as well. But there's kind of a spectrum of web browsers where it's Chrome and it's just Chrome,
Hmm.
and then there's these things, and then they all go off in different directions. And I mean, even Edge has a few advantages just from Windows integration stuff, right? I mean, getting past all the antitrust, terrible behavior, whatever. But feature bloat, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, there's an opportunity there to just embrace what, I mean, Mozilla's beginnings were as Netscape, which was the web as the platform. You know, how is it that Mozilla wasn't the one that made a Chromebook? Right, I mean, a Chrome
Yeah.
OS or whatever, right? Then they, by the way, they did try to make a little OS thing, but they did it after Chrome OS came out. They did it in response,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, it's gone now. You know, so yeah, I feel anyway. I just Mitchell Baker's stepping down as CEO, and I'm going on this monologue about web browsers, but I feel really bad about Firefox. I was a very early supporter when it was still called Phoenix, when it was still called something before Phoenix. I don't remember all the names, but just Mozilla, you know, when it was, you know, Netscape 6 became whatever the Mozilla thing, you know, but they decided to do a small and light browser. And I was like, yes, this is, you know, which was the beginning, which was Netscape before it did Communicator. But I always thought this was a great idea. You know, get out of the way, be small and light. It's what I wanted Edge to be, right? It's too bad. I just feel like there's an opportunity here. That's all I'm saying.
It's also what should be, I think, a quick opportunity for Microsoft to get rid of the FTC off their back. So the FTC filed a complaint, says, hey, you guys are laying off 1,900 people, and that's in a breach of your contract or whatever things you said. But Microsoft responded by saying...
no, it isn't.
Yeah, Microsoft responded and said, look, this was already planned, and we're just executing that plan to whatever degree. It sounds like Microsoft should be able to just produce a document that says, look, it's whatever date, and there were going to be layoffs until they stepped in to buy the company. And then now that they've owned the company, they're just following what was already going to happen. According to Microsoft, that is.
I spent a lot of time examining the language of the judge's ruling that the FTC is referencing. And the thing that Microsoft said that answers the complaint most accurately or whatever, or succinctly, was this notion of, it's basically vertical versus horizontal mergers, right? Mm-hmm. It's an acquisition. So you're either going to run this thing as a separate entity, which Microsoft said it was going to, apparently. I don't recall that, but whatever. Or you're going to subsume it into the company and integrate it, right? So Microsoft, I think we can all agree, is unusually decided to suck it in and subsume it. I mean, you know, they didn't do this with Bethesda. They didn't do this with Mojang. Didn't do it with GitHub. And for some reason, this gigantic thing, maybe it was too big of an asset not to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yeah. But but if you think about Activision Blizzard structurally, I think there's a case to be made that there's this business operation, which is HR and executives and decision makers and whatever. But then really the core of it is these studios, right? And Microsoft has these studios, right? So you take those studios and you're like, okay, well, now we have these studios. And those things are sort of run, you know, semi-independently. They work on their own games. They do their own things. It's not like we ever pull the Gears of War guys over here to work on Halo or whatever. Like they, you know, these are separate studios. So I don't know what the breakdown is, but when you bring in these operational people, whatever they are, these employees and executives, it's completely understandable that they would have to integrate into some part of Microsoft. So they created that thing called Microsoft Gaming, right? And then there are 22,000 employees. You know, 10,000 total people came from Activision, but that doesn't mean they're all actually in that business, right? Because of the studios.
Right.
But we don't know those numbers. It doesn't matter. So they laid off 8% of Microsoft Gaming because of redundancies, right? And Microsoft said that explicitly. Yeah, I mean, so at maximum, 4% of Activision Blizzard was laid off. Well, that's not true. I'm sorry.
No, I think it was
math is hard. That's not true.
Yep.
But some percentage, whatever. It's a single digit number. So whatever it is. Yeah. And anyway, so I just don't see it. But regardless of everything I just said, Microsoft has said, yes, actually, we did integrate the operational part of Activision Blizzard into Microsoft Gaming. We did it in such a way that if this thing is rolled back somehow, we can actually easily divest ourselves of that part of it. So there you go. We just got to, what else you got, you know? This idea that the FTC, which was so thoroughly destroyed by the judge, had entered millions of items of evidence and didn't find a single shred of evidence to support their claims, so would somehow get a mulligan that would roll this thing back. is the most fanciful, stupid waste of time I've ever heard of in my life. And I'll just keep repeating the same chorus here, which is that the FTC has belligerent big tech monopolists abusing customers right now. And I don't know, maybe take a look at that. Not at the company that is next week going to announce how they're going to bring more games to more platforms. I mean, seriously. It's incredible.
Well, we'll find out next week if they actually are going to be bringing more games
That's
to
a
more
good
platforms,
point.
because Xbox is having that business update. They haven't announced the date yet.
Right.
So
I actually think, I think I said this, I really think that the primary component of this announcement is going to be what's happening with Activision Blizzard. I actually think that was that's the big news, I think. But we'll see.
We'll see.
But the cross-platform stuff, I mean, I think we must have talked about this. Most of Microsoft Studios, now that Activision is part of it, already are on PlayStation and are other platforms, right? So to me, the only interesting bit here is the stuff that's not on PlayStation.
Right. The
And
Halo, the
obviously,
Starfield,
Halo, Gears of War, Starfield. How about Microsoft Flight Simulator, by the way? So that's a very interesting story. But you know what? We're talking about like several games. We're not talking about hundreds. I mean, the hand wringing over this is astonishing to me. So I'm very interested to see what they do. I know, as I'm sure you are. And now I'm interested in going back to bed.